We're back. So we just talked about California milk and California cheese. Now we're going to talk about Wisconsin cheese and Wisconsin milk. So Rachel Kerr is with us. Rachel, I've got to tell you a story. My dad was in the cheese business. My first plane ride ever was to Wisconsin to visit cheese factories. I was probably 6 years old, going to all the different cheese factories, and I have this vivid, probably scary memory that doesn't exist anymore, but it was in Monroe, Wisconsin. At those days, you would call them a strip motel, 1 story high, and the bathroom window opened up on a dairy farm, and I'm this little kid, and I look out, and there's this cow staring at me through the window of the bathroom, and I will never forget that. But the experience, certainly as a kid, going to Wisconsin, meeting a lot of dairy farmers, meeting with a lot of cheese producers is something that has changed my life forever. Yesterday we did a segment down in the Wisconsin cheese area, and the innovation there, and that's what I said in our segment, was unbelievable. I mean, when I look at, there was one company, I forgot the name, they have something like 200 different cheddars, some of the flavor combinations that are coming out. It's phenomenal what you guys are doing. So talk to me a little bit about the Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board, what you do, and what are some of the trends that are going on right now?
Yeah, well, the Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board.
Come closer to the microphone.
Oh, the microphone. All right. The Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board is an organization funded by the dairy farmers. So that farmer that had that cow that you stared at out the window.
And scared me.
And scared me. But they're sweet. We love cows. So we're funded by the dairy.
Not when you're 6.
That's true.
And you see a big cow.
Yeah, a big one. They're very grand animals. That's for sure. But no, we're funded by the dairy farmers. And in Wisconsin, what's unique is that 90% of that milk that's produced goes into making cheese, and 90% of that cheese gets sold outside of Wisconsin.
So 99% of 90% of the milk goes into cheese.
Yes.
If I look at other states, dairy producing states like New York or California, any idea what the percentage is there?
It's more in Wisconsin. We're certainly the highest producer of specialty and artisan cheeses in the U.S.
Okay. And why is that? Is the milk different, which makes it a better cheese?
Well, Wisconsin prides itself on being America's dairy land. Dairying is.
I know. I've seen the cheese hats and stuff.
It's in our heritage. It's in our roots, and it's crazy how many times I've seen a cheesemaker go up and accept an award, and the first thing they'll do is thank their dairy farmers, because the first thing they will tell you is without high quality milk, you can't produce these innovative cheeses with the incredible flavors, and so that's really all where it starts.
So what are the trends that we should be looking at when it comes to, Wisconsin cheese?
Yeah. Well, you touched on innovation, and that's certainly something special to Wisconsin. We've got cheesemakers who have been maybe making cheese for 50 years and are still innovating new products and new flavors. So one thing would be just bold flavors. You've probably seen things like Nasonville here, and over in the Wisconsin section is featuring they've got Carolina Reaper cheddar. So extreme heat, bold flavors. And one other trend we're seeing, and you've probably noticed this when you go out to eat, everyone's taking a picture of their food.
Yep.
Everything is Instagram worthy.
Which is horrible. Horrible.
It's horrible.
Horrible.
But one thing you can take a photo of and is certainly going to impress your friends is a cheese board.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Especially when you look at a lot of the cheeses produced in the state, they can make a beautiful photo-worthy and Instagram-worthy cheese board. So anything from Red Rock from Chris Raleigh that has that beautiful bright orange coloring from the extra annatto and the blue veining. And then you've got cheeses like Pleasant Ridge Reserve that have that beautiful yellow grassy color because of the way they source their milk, to something even simple like a really great aged white cheddar and a traditional blue like a Hook's Blue that has that beautiful blue coloring to it. So really stand out for food photography, and so it's just a great way to start any cheese board that's probably going to end up on your Instagram story.
Yeah. So we actually interviewed yesterday a winery, Cooper's, and they also have their own stores and their wine tasting. And he brought me and he showed me what they do for their cheese board is they actually have a block of a honeycomb an actual honeycomb that they put on the center of the cheese board, and he said it's the fastest moving one that they have. So it's that combination of different flavors. I also recall on that same 6-year-old trip going to New Glarus.
Yes.
So tell us all about New Glarus, which is, out of a different era and a different time.
Well, it's in the heart. So New Glarus and Monroe, where you would have been as a kid, is in the heart of Greene County, Wisconsin, which is kind of I refer to as like kind of a mecca of cheese making in the state. So you've got a lot of dairies and also a lot of cheese making operations that have kind of stood the stand of time, and a lot of Swiss heritage. So in fact, one of the dairies that's there. A beautiful farm that milks brown Swiss cows, and all that milk goes to make Limburger cheese, which is the only Limburger made in the U.S. is made in Wisconsin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay. And how often do you get to New Glarus? Is it still the same as when I was a kid? It looks like a little Swiss village.
It does. Actually, I was just there a couple of weeks ago. I was out on that same farm that I just mentioned, which is just down the road from New Glarus. It's a beautiful destination, and of course, everything looks like a Swiss chalet, and it's but it's in the middle of Wisconsin, so it's kind of surprising. But again, a lot of the cheese-making heritage in Wisconsin came from Swiss immigrants that settled there to dairy, so that you can really see how that has kind of stayed true to tradition.
So, obviously the dairy ranchers and farmers are funding you to get that message out there about Wisconsin, how great it is. What are they asking you for? I mean, there's two sides to this. You going out there and promoting Wisconsin, which you do very well, but what are the insights that you can give to the dairy farmers? Are you helping them say, wow, here's a trend that you should be looking at? You're talking about color, you're talking about Instagram. Are you saying, hey, make the prettiest cheese you can, because if you make a really pretty cheese, it's going to go viral, it's going to increase sales and so on. So what are those conversations like?
I mean, we certainly share our insights that we gain from a lot of the research we've done. Like, for example, we predict that people are going to be taking photos of their food more. So, if it doesn't make sense to have a product that is more visually appealing, whether it's through color or veining or whatever. Other innovative ways to maybe use a product, like we're seeing more blends being used on, for example, pizza. So if you're, maybe you're not traditionally just putting mozzarella anymore, you're adding a couple different types of cheeses. So maybe it's a ricotta and a Gouda to really bring out flavors and kind of showcase the innovation.
Well, actually, the number one selling pizza, and I'm going back probably 25 years ago, in the New York area, was a company called Elio's. And their secret of success was actually having mozzarella and cheddar, both on their pizza. And the average consumer didn't realize it, but it just had so much more of a flavor to it, because mozzarella is typically, flavorless, if you would.
Yeah.
So adding that blend really, got their pizza to be number one.
Yeah.
So to that point, certain trends still exist. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing a great job for Wisconsin and for all of dairy.
Thank you.
We need that, and we need to get the right messages out there. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. It's SFA News Live. We're going to go back to the show floor in a bit and show you some more cheese, of course.